You didn't run from God with your feet at first. You ran with your heart. You ran quietly, carefully, politely. You ran in silence, in distraction, in staying busy, in staying numb, in staying fine. You didn't reject God outright. You just kept him at a distance. You practiced a form of religion that felt safe, one that allowed belief without surrender. You learned how to live with conviction without obeying it. But here is the truth that shatters the illusion. You cannot run from God. Not because he is merely everywhere, but because he is sovereign. God is not a passive observer of your escape. He rules your days, governs your breath, and turns your running into his road. Many people imagine grace as a gentle offer placed on the table, something God suggests while you decide. But sovereign grace is not timid. It does not wait for permission. It is not optional. It pursues. The Lord does not watch rebels drift into darkness, hoping they might return. He follows. From the beginning, he has always followed. When Adam hid in the garden, God asked, "Where are you?" That question was not ignorance. It was summons. From that moment, humanity learned how to run, how to cover, how to blame, and how to pretend. Jonah knew this God. He was not an unbeliever. He was a prophet. He knew God's voice, and when the command came, he ran. He went down to the coast, down into the ship, down into sleep, and down toward a sea that would have been his grave. Running from God always feels like descent. It feels like drift. You can change locations, but you cannot change lordship. The God you run from rules the wind above you and the depths beneath you. So God sent a storm, not as random weather, but as deliberate mercy. The waves preached what Jonah refused to hear. Jonah slept through warning. That is the danger of sin. Sin does not only disobey God, it dulls you to God. You can be surrounded by signs and still be numb. You can be called and still refuse to wake. But sovereign grace does not end with disturbance. It exposes. It brings hidden rebellion into the light. Jonah was awakened, questioned, and forced to confess, "I am fleeing from the Lord." That confession was not produced by Jonah's strength. It was drawn out by grace. Sometimes mercy feels like pressure. Sometimes kindness feels like being cornered. Sometimes God's love refuses to let you lie comfortably. Here is the truth that wounds pride. God does not pursue because you are worth chasing. He pursues because he is sovereign in mercy. Scripture says he has mercy on whom he will have mercy. That means salvation does not begin with your willingness. It begins with his will. You can resist him for a season, but you cannot outrun his decree. If God intends to save, he will overthrow your rebellion with patience that will not be denied. Some people run for years and never feel caught. They mistake that for freedom. But it may be abandonment. The absence of pursuit is not peace. To be left alone in sin is not mercy. It is judgment. When God pursues, he often does it by exhausting your strength, closing doors you thought were exits, breaking idols you used as shelter, and making your heart restless until pretending no longer works. Your anxiety may not be meaningless. Your collapse may not be random. Your closed doors may not be Satan's victory. They may be the footsteps of sovereign grace behind you, not to flatter you, but to save you. The most dangerous way to run is not obvious rebellion. It is religious routine. Jonah did not run into atheism. He ran inside religion. He carried truth in his mind while rebellion lived in his will. You can attend church, pray, listen, serve, and still flee. You flee by reshaping God into a safer idea. You flee by avoiding the parts of Scripture that threaten your control. You flee by calling conviction, legalism, and holiness extreme. You flee by insisting grace means God will never confront you, never deny you, never discipline you. But the Lord disciplines the one he loves. If your Christianity has no chastening, no pruning, no holy pressure, you may not be resting in mercy. You may be resting in illusion. Some run by distraction. They drown God's voice in constant noise. They scroll, binge, work, joke, and stay surrounded. Silence terrifies them because silence is where God's questions become loud. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you serving? Others run by respectability. They build a life that looks clean enough to quiet suspicion, but not surrendered enough to please God. They serve, lead, speak well, post verses, counsel others, and keep one room of the heart locked. That locked room is where the idol lives. Religion becomes a curtain drawn to hide the chains. Some run by morality, they trust their decency. They are not as bad as others, they try to be good. But morality without Christ is simply a cleaner form of rebellion. It teaches you to trust yourself instead of the blood, and some run by anger. A prayer went unanswered, a door closed, a dream died. Instead of bowing, they hardened. They stayed outwardly Christian while inwardly offended. They kept the name but lost the fear. They kept the label but lost the love. Eventually, running becomes collision. The door you thought was an exit becomes a wall. The sea you thought was escape becomes judgment. Jonah was thrown into the water, and the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow him. The fish was not an accident. The storm was not random. The Lord appointed. The fish was not comfort. It was confinement. It was darkness. It was pressure. Mercy often begins like that, not with relief, but with capture. The runner expects freedom and finds a prison. Yet that prison is not hell. It is rescue disguised as judgment. Left alone, Jonah would have drowned. The fish saved him. Wrath hardens, mercy humbles. Wrath produces resentment, mercy produces confession. Mercy does not merely scare you, it breaks you. It makes your excuses collapse. It makes your sin look like chains. It makes Christ necessary, not useful. Necessary. I called out to the Lord out of my distress, and he answered me. That is what mercy produces, a sinner who finally prays without pretending. Stopping your running does not begin with a better mood. It begins with surrender. Surrender is not emotion. It is not vague apology. It is not conditional obedience. Surrender is the collapse of self-rule. Salvation belongs to the Lord. That sentence ends the argument. Grace does not negotiate. Grace dethrones. Real surrender cuts off escape routes. It names sin honestly. It comes to Christ without a resume. It obeys even when feelings fade. Grace does not exist to make your life comfortable. It exists to make your life obedient. Here is the final truth. The God you are running from is the only God who can save you. If he follows you with storms, it is mercy. If he follows you with loss, it is mercy. If he strips away your hiding places, it is mercy. Because the greatest judgment is not being caught. The greatest judgment is being left alone. Stop running. Not tomorrow. Not when life improves. Come now. The pursuit is real, and the grace you cannot escape is the grace that can still redeem you. When God refuses to let you go, how God hunts the rebel to save the soul.